I mean, this is so unprecedented. It's just amazing that he would say that.
It's shockingly unconstitutional, Trace. It's great to be with you, and I'm here to announce on your show a measure that I'm working with Congress that should be Congress's bread and butter. And I'm calling for the subpoenas to be issued to Judge Merchant's daughter's company, who made $15+ million from the illicit information pouring out of her father's courtroom. I want to know the bank records, because money doesn't lie. Yep. I want to know how deep it is and how much of it went to the family and how much of it is going to the family after this false conviction. And then we need to investigate the FEC actual violations that this judge and his family conducted, because he should never have been overseeing this trial to begin with, because of the illicit campaign money that was flowing through there. And the unconstitutional due process violations are only the beginning. So America is calling for accountability of our judicial system, and Congress is the only lever that has it. And I'm hoping for one or two brave members of Congress that I'm talking to issue those subpoenas ASAP.
Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey.
Why this beat so crazy?
We will make America proud again. And you try to kill our we will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Couple more days, y'all. Y'all hang in there. Shout out to them Patriots. My brothers and sisters around the world. I hope everybody is blessed, well, healthy, and that nothing but the best is going on in all you beautiful people's life. Y'all hit that like button if this moron should be behind bars. Put your hands behind your back. And go get the daughter too. We gotta go get everybody, man. People got to be held accountable, man. I'm for real. It is a disgrace, man. And a complete embarrassment to New York. And just look at New York. Can't even get on the subway. Can't even walk down the street. You know, it's a disgrace, man. And in a lot of other places, but New York, a complete embarrassment. And you ought to be ashamed of yourself, sir. But don't worry. Y'all see, they coming to get him. And Trump just gonna take win after win after win. He gets great news every single day. And these people got to pay, man. They got to be held accountable. And this administration right now needs to be completely investigated. You know, people need to be removed. People need to put their hands behind their back.
It is the office of the president that bestows those far-reaching protections to the office holder. And it was the citizenry of this nation that recently decided that you should once again receive the benefits of those protections, which include, among other things, the Supremacy Clause and presidential immunity. It is through that lens and that reality that this court must determine a lawful sentence.
You know, but it's just been win after win. They bought the man a new suit, shoes, rolled out the red carpet for him. You know, even though he was already going to win on policy. But they just said, sir, we even got you this to walk you in there. Yeah. Complete sham, witch hunts. You know, no conditions, no prison time, no probation time, no fine, no punishment. You know, but the law for the election interference, a complete waste of time and money. You know, it was never a case. He wouldn't have gotten this far if he actually did something wrong. Just saying, y'all. You know, the star witness was a known liar. The judge donated to Biden. I mean, man, go get the daughter too. I keep saying it. Go get the daughter. You know, the gag order was unconstitutional. You know. And who does a sentence in 10 days before inauguration? Again, kangaroos all on the freeway. All at the intersection. At the stop sign, at the mailbox, kangaroos. I was like, what is going on? I'm for real, y'all. It's kangaroos. All out in public. Jumping up and down, fighting, boxing. I seen banana peels. You know, I thought my traction control was going off. I'm for real, y'all. I thought I had my traction control light off. You know the traction control light when you turn it off? Yeah. But come to find out, it was banana peels all on the street. A disgrace, man. But check this next clip out.
Speaking to reporters right after the Supreme Court order came down, and we get it right to CNN's Ellie Honig, who is joining me here. Ellie, you see Donald Trump. He is at Mar-a-Lago there. That means he is going to be appealing virtually appearing virtually tomorrow. We'll get to that in a moment. But on this decision, everyone was waiting to see what it said. Even people in Trump world that I've been talking to were kind of divided on whether or not the Supreme Court was going to take their side. Were you surprised by this?
I was surprised it was this close, Caitlin. We were one vote away from the U.S. Supreme Court preventing Donald Trump from getting sentenced by Zoom to nothing. I mean, that would have damaged the Supreme Court's credibility beyond all recognition. And I think the opinion that came down 5-4, letting the sentencing go, I think it was perfectly sound. Basically, the justices in the majority said two things. First of all, they said, what's the harm? You're going to get sentenced to 0. You can do it by Zoom. You can roll out of bed and do it. And second of all, you do maybe have substantial issues. I think he has substantial issues on appeal, but you can handle them through the full appeal process that will follow your sentencing.
They're saying you don't need to do this right now. There are normal channels to handle this through, but Trump just doesn't want it to happen before he becomes president.
And you know what's maybe ironic about it? Trump actually gets a benefit by being sentenced tomorrow, which is once that sentencing is over, as of tomorrow morning, then he can take his full appeals. He can go up the New York Courts of Appeals. He can go maybe to the U.S. Supreme Court and say the charge against me was unconstitutional, which I think it may be. He can say that the jury was not properly instructed. But if he had gotten his way, if he was not sentenced tomorrow, he would not have been able to appeal. That would have been it. So this sentence would have sort of died in netherworld.
Well, and part of their argument had been that it was going to be too tough for him to get sentenced tomorrow, that he couldn't show up to the sentencing in New York. The justices made a point, the 5 who ruled that this could happen, and said that it was relatively insubstantial in light of what the court is saying that they're going to do, which is to impose that sentence of unconditional discharge. And it's a brief virtual hearing. He doesn't have to be there in person tomorrow.
So this was a smart move by Judge Merchan, because he said last week, I'm going to sentence you to essentially nothing, and you can do it by Zoom. If Merchan had not done that, if he just said, appear for sentencing Friday, it'll be like any other sentencing. You don't know what you're going to get until I tell you. That might have changed the Supreme Court's calculus, because Trump's argument was, I could be subject to what we call irreparable harm. And if Trump was able to say, I don't know, maybe this guy's going to try to lock me up. Maybe he's going to impose some serious penalty. Maybe I don't have the time as president-elect to travel to New York and sit in a courtroom and go through security. Instead, Merchan absolutely minimized that.
Okay, so he appears virtually via, I'll call it Zoom. I don't even know what it is for the court system. When you get sentenced, you have an option to say something, right?
You just hit on what the biggest point is going to be to watch for tomorrow. Any defendant at sentencing absolutely has a right to speak. Almost always they do. So Trump might say, I have nothing to say, Your Honor, or he might give us a rant. I mean, I would bet on that because, look, he's got nothing to lose. He knows he's getting sentenced to nothing. So
even
watch
if he speaks before the sentencing and goes off on the judge, which he does and did tonight, that won't change how Merchan sentences him?
Merchan left himself a tiny bit of wiggle room, right? He didn't say, I promise I will sentence you. He said, I intend to sentence you. But I think it would take an awfully lot to push Merchan from sentence you to unconditional discharge to lashing out with a sentence.
Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, Roberts, Alito. They were willing to stop this. Make that argument.
Their argument would be, as a purely procedural matter, Trump was still in the process of appealing based on immunity, right? We got the immunity ruling 6 months ago. And if you look at a certain way procedurally, while you're appealing on immunity as a defendant, you're entitled to a complete stay, meaning no trial, no sentencing, no nothing. But the majority, and again, Amy Coney Barrett and John Roberts joined with the liberals, said, but if there's no harm, there's no harm. And that's really what carried the day here.
So this news, and then right after that, it came down the effort to keep the special counsel's report away from public view. Also, Trump lost on that. They can still appeal it. We'll see what happens. And
we're going to see. I'll spoil that one. We're going to see those reports eventually.
Okay. Well, we might see you back here tomorrow night, Ellie Honig. So thank you for that. Up next, of course, we are continuing to keep a close eye on what is happening